Thank you. Mr. Brown.
I agree with the thrust of this resolution. I have a couple questions for Board President Pfeiffer. When you say within 6 weeks to develop, meet within 6 weeks, would that be at a regular board meeting, or do you intend another session for that separate?
I'll get ready. I intend another session. My actual vision was something like this, that we would, all of us do a little brainstorming, ask our staff to do a little brainstorming, pull together all of the comments, as Ms. Garza suggested, have somebody go back through those notes, just get all of our ideas together and invite the public to come on in and talk to us, so we'll probably be here for a while, to then sit as a committee, just the 5 of us, but publicly, and discuss this pile of data that we're going to come up with, try to come up with some criteria that makes sense to us. Likely we'll all need to think about this and get input from the community, and so I'm envisioning perhaps a second public meeting about a week from then, 2 days, 10 days, I don't know, to actually finalize that data and come up with a simple but elegant set of criteria that we can feel that we can live by and that we believe our community can live by. So that's my vision. You don't have to buy it, but that's kind of what I'm thinking we might be able to pull off sometime in the month of July.
I think it's great. I like it. So thank you for that, that idea, that type of process makes a lot of sense. My other question is, and getting to the comments that Mr. Ramsey had made around K-8, or the idea that was brought up about, well, would we do a middle and senior high school over at El Cerrito? And I'm not suggesting that we do that. It's an idea that's out there. Are those concepts, when you say the criteria for selecting a middle school site in El Cerrito, even with, if in both the K-8 and the middle/senior high school, they both include a site for a middle school. I mean, it has to be part of it. So I guess my question, long-winded way of getting to it, are those things going to be on the table as, well, we look at the criteria, we can look at all the different options, or are we limiting what we're looking at?
Hold on, she wants to speak first.
Excuse me, we'll make another pass around. Was that a question to me, Mr. Brown?
It was a question to you, yes.
Okay. I have already in an email asked Mr. Edmondson for some data. I would like to know, for instance, the actual acreage of all of our sites in El Cerrito. As you know, we all get information monthly on attendance figures, so we know how many kids are on each of those sites. So we're all capable of doing that math to figure out what our current population per acre is. That should give us some idea of what kind of space we have to expand. If I may be, candid without having people get up and start yelling at me, I think we're going to find out that the communities who have done the most work toward moving us toward K-8 don't have room for that kind of expansion. And if we're actually going to talk about doing a K-8 program, which, as you know, I've never been opposed to generically, we're going to find out that program is going to have room at a school that has not been a major advocate. Now, that's just a problem. I mean, it's not saying we're not going to go there. It's not saying we can't go there. But I'm not sure that we want to reopen that can of worms. And maybe you and I can have this discussion offline. Or, like I said, we're going to have to let some time, all of us allow some time and some energy for this discussion. Because this is a difficult discussion. And I think we have to have our staff do a lot of homework before we launch into this discussion. Because for instance, Kensington is one of our most populated schools. I believe we have 580 children there. At this point, we have recently added a preschool there. It's going to add another 60 children to that site. Additionally, I'm told their kindergarten is overcrowded. We're adding a third kindergarten class, so that's another 20 children. If you add a K-8 to that, you're talking about 1,000 children. on that site, and you talk about your traffic impact, I'm a little overwhelmed because I have, as you know, waited in line to drop my stepson off at that school. So, there's a lot of things like that we just need to talk about and wrestle with and see, if we then turn around and say, well, we have room to do this kind of expansion at Harding, the question becomes, is there community support for a K-8 at Harding, where we have fewer kids and more acreage and a cleaner traffic pattern? I don't know. These are big, big questions, and certainly ones that keep me up at night. But I'm way willing to go publicly into that discussion again. Go ahead.
And I appreciate that. And what you're talking about, I would be, very ecstatic if we could actually have that conversation, to look at the numbers, to look at what's possible, to look at the costs and compare it to other options we have that wouldn't include K-8 or wouldn't include putting middle school kids at El Cerrito High or whatever we might be looking at. As long as we can do that, and I think, and again, it's getting back to what I think Mr. Chang had said, that when it's all said and done, if we have come up with our criteria and we've looked at the exhaustive list of alternatives, options, I think the community, I think as a board member, I'd feel then, okay, we did our job, and at the end of the day, because then at least if a particular option comes to the top, even if it wasn't one that was all that popular among all the members of the board, at least it would be very clear, well, that one does score the best, or it scores best in this criteria, but maybe not in that. And I think it's not going to be a cut and dry thing. We know that. I appreciate your openness to that. That's all I can ask for, and I'm very pleased. So no, I'm definitely okay with this.
Okay,